Hello everyone, it's Steffi here again with another Art Docent program. This is called Artists Depict Trees. Artists often include trees in a landscape painting, and sometimes they make pictures in which a tree or several trees are important parts of the composition. A tree may be shown very realistically, exactly as we would see it in nature or a photograph. Or a tree may be depicted so that its gesture or its shape is shown with only a few of its details. Or the artist may distort and change it in some way. Trees may be described with some of the same words that we use to describe people: graceful, dignified, frightening, delicate, rugged, strong, or scrawny. Trees are of many shapes and kinds. Some are tall, some are squat and broad. Some branches reach up and seem to scratch the sky, and some branches droop downward. Some trees lose their leaves in the fall, and others stay green all year. Some trees blossom and bear fruit. Snow can pile on the branches. Moss can grow on the trunks. Squirrels and birds make their homes in trees. Bears climb them. We hang swings from their branches. They give us shade. The textures of trunks are very different from each other. Leaves are of many sizes and shapes. Did you ever see an orchard with the trees planted in row after row? How is an orchard different from a forest? Artists sometimes let some of the branches of trees extend off the sides or top of the picture. Trees that are closer to the viewer are larger and lower in the picture. So the first painting that we are going to look at is the one in the center. Have you ever seen this before? Does it look familiar? Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's see what we can see. Looks like we've got some hunters in the forest. They've already bagged one buck. And they're pointing across the way at a group of deer. Snow-covered trees everywhere. What trees do you see in this? They were talking about the trees going out of the picture. Here's clear examples of that. And then some we can see fully in the background. This print is called American Winter Sports, and it's by Currier and Ives. Nathaniel Currier lived from 1813 until 1888, and James Ives lived from 1824 to 1895. This Currier and Ives print shows trees in the winter. It is a snow scene on a small river in New York State. It is a place that hasn't changed much over the years. It is still wild and studded with tall pine trees. Hunters still hunt deer there, but they don't use powder horns anymore. See how a tree is dead and tipped over? See how snow clings to the branches. The tall tree in the center extends out of the picture. Notice how the man's arm and rifle lead our eyes across the river to the deer. Currier and Ives used a number of pictures done by different artists and made lithographic prints of them. This enabled many people to be able to own inexpensive art for their homes. A lithographic print is made by drawing a picture with a wax or grease crayon on a flat limestone. It is then specially treated, ink applied, and prints made on paper. So American Winter sports. Next up, we're going to take a trip over here to the left. A few more bright colors in this scene. What jumps out in this print? You recognize those trees? Multiple variations, but probably the same tree. This is called Mediterranean Scene, and it's by Raoul Dufy, who lived from 1877 to 1953. Palm trees form an important part of the composition in this painting of a town that borders on the Mediterranean Sea. Their same shape is repeated several times in the foreground. Find the horizon. When the horizon is up high, we know that the artist was looking down on a scene, perhaps from his hotel room. This is called a bird's eye view. We see people, automobiles, and palm trees all painted with quick strokes of the brush. Details are shown with black lines that don't always match up with the edge of the colors, and this gives the picture a spontaneous appearance. The brushwork reminds us of handwriting and is called calligraphic, which means beautiful writing. I probably pronounced that wrong. I feel like calligraphy, calligraphic. I really miss my residents because they would tell me what is true. We see small shapes of houses and tiny bits of red roofs. The texture of water in the bay is shown by a pattern of brushstrokes. The artist made a few quick squiggles to show clouds in the sky. Would you like to walk along the beach in this scene? Oh, let's see, I missed the clouds. There's the clouds. I didn't even notice them through the lens of my camera. There's the clouds. That water looks a little choppy. Mr. Dufy was born in France. He worked as an errand boy, and when he obtained a scholarship, he went to Paris to study art. He developed a characteristic and distinctive style, that of making fast, short, curving lines as he moved quickly across the paper. He applied color that is not strictly confined to outlines, but sweeps across a work in a lively, active manner. He worked in oil and watercolor, painting horse races, fashionable resorts, flowers, and landscapes in very bright colors. Which color pops out to you the most on your screen today? Our last work is a different type of medium. And many of you probably recognize this work as well. So we'll take a moment to visit with it. This is by Ansel Adams. It's called Oak Tree Sunrise. Ansel Adams lived from 1902 to 1984. This is a black and white photograph by the American artist Ansel Adams. It shows us an elegant oak tree with its ground shadows coming toward us, indicating that the sun is facing us at sunrise. In the far distance, we see some cattle and more trees at the horizon. Notice the fan-like shape of the tree and how the limbs branch from the trunk, growing smaller as they grow upward and outward. The sky is very light in contrast with the ground, allowing the viewer to see all the details of the intricate pattern of dark branches. Adams was a perfectionist who might take half a day to capture one shot that met his standards. He would drive for miles and camp out to catch the spontaneous beauty of the rising sun. This photo is part of a series called Fiat Lux, Let There Be Light, suggesting the many qualities of light, the light of the world, the light education shines on ignorance, and the natural light within Adams' photos. The collection was commissioned by the University of California in the 1960s in honor of its centennial. The series shows images from each of the campuses and the beauty of the California landscape. Ansel Adams was born in San Francisco. His father withdrew him from public school since he was not doing well and taught him at home. He later was awarded many honorary degrees, but earned only a grammar school diploma. However, his talents in art and music flourished. He taught himself to play the piano at the age of 12, later using the language of music to describe his photographs. His love of nature began early. He spoke of his first memory as lying in his carriage watching low fog move across the sky. When he was 14, he encouraged his parents to vacation in Yosemite and thus began an annual ritual that he practiced the rest of his life. His series of Yosemite photographs is the largest of all his collections. Throughout his career, Adams' focus was the natural world and the emotional values it conveys. He worked only in black and white as shadow. Texture, form, and space were his primary interests. He married in 1928, and that same year the Sierra Club hosted his first one-man exhibit, the first of more than 500 shows to come. Very accomplished artist. So, Ansel Adams. It's a beautiful day with the cows. Well, I hope all of you have enjoyed this art docent on artists depict trees. We'll be filming more of these as the weeks come, and hopefully we'll be able to see your faces soon and do one of these live. Hope you're all well, and please go wash your hands.